My mother told me I shouldn't come home for Christmas because my step-grandparents despised me and threatened to cut their inheritance if we stayed in touch. My stepfather's parents, who loathed me, would be at the Christmas gathering, so my mother informed me I wasn't welcome. I cut off all contact with them and stopped providing financial support. A few months later, they showed up at my house. Long pauses at the start of phone calls have always irritated me, as they rarely bring pleasant news. My mother's hesitation on the other end of the line, 3 days before Christmas, told me everything I needed to know before she spoke. "Sophie, honey, I think it would be better if you didn't come home for Christmas this year," she said. I nearly dropped my mug of coffee. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I asked. "It's just, well, James's parents are coming and they don't want to see you. They've made that quite clear." Trying to process what I was hearing, I sank onto my couch. My stepfather, James, had been married to my mother since I was 10 years old. Although his parents had never liked me, this was different. My mother was choosing them over me. I tried to stay composed as I said, "Since Dad passed away, we've always celebrated Christmas together. It's our tradition." "I know, honey, but..." She trailed off. "What? You're seriously choosing other people over your own daughter?" I asked. No matter what excuse she offered, the silence that followed was unbearable. When she finally spoke, her voice was strained. "Sophie, they've threatened to cut James out of their will if they find out we're still in contact with you. They said they won't leave him an inheritance and will cut us off completely." I wanted to shout, "So this is about money," but instead, I said, "No, it's not just that." She replied quickly, "I've told them we haven't been in touch with you for years. I need you to go along with this just this once." There was no humor in my laugh. "You want me to pretend I don't exist in your life? That's your solution?" I asked. "James's parents are difficult people, Sophie. They're spiteful and stubborn. We need to make sure they believe no one in the family talks to you anymore. You need to understand." I ended the call, unable to listen any longer. To understand why James's parents hated me so much, you'd have to go back over 20 years. When I was 4, my real father died in a car accident. For 6 years, it was just Mom and me against the world. Then she met James, a widower with a daughter named Lily, who was 9 years old. After they married, James and Lily moved into our home. At first, things were fine. I got along well enough with Lily. We sometimes fought like sisters, throwing pillows at each other or arguing over the TV remote typical kid stuff. But James's parents despised me from the start. They called me rude and wild, saying things like, "It's obvious she grew up without a father," as if I weren't even there. They brought gifts for Lily when they visited, but nothing for me. They never spoke to me, only talking around me. When I was 14, the worst incident happened. Mom and James went on vacation, leaving Lily and me with James's parents. Normally, my mother's sister, Aunt Clara, would take us, but she was unavailable. Despite their reluctance, James's parents agreed to watch us, especially me. After a week cooped up together, tensions were high, and Lily and I were bored. We argued over a laptop, and during the fight, I gave her a light push. She lost her balance, fell awkwardly, and broke her arm. Lily's scream sent chills down my spine. Her grandparents rushed over. Her grandmother called James in a panic, while her grandfather took her to the hospital. On the phone, she screamed, "You have to come home now." Sophie attacked Lily and broke her arm. She needs to be in a psychiatric clinic. She's completely out of control. Everything changed after that call. They took my phone, locked me in a bedroom, and only opened the door to pass food in. They called me a rabid animal and threatened to send me to juvenile detention. 3 days later, Mom and James returned from their shortened trip. James, furious, said he couldn't trust himself around me. I was sent to stay with Aunt Clara for 2 months. When I returned home, James barely spoke to me. Ironically, the incident brought Lily and me closer, and we quickly reconciled. I never had anger issues, but my parents sent me to therapy anyway. The atmosphere at home was stifling. When I turned 18 and left for college, it felt like escaping prison. In college, I worked hard to succeed, studying management and administration. During my junior year, my friend Emma and I landed internships at her father's restaurant company. Everyone was impressed by the development plan I created, which boosted profits within months. When it succeeded, Emma's father offered me a job after graduation. Emma wanted me to be her executive director when she took over the restaurant business, making me her right-hand person for modernization and business development. Together, We transformed the restaurant chain. We built a mobile app, launched food delivery services, and created areas where customers could order via laptops. To show how clean and efficient the kitchens were, we installed live stream cameras, set up selfie zones, and offered cooking classes. Young people flocked in, and we attracted new customers while keeping the old ones. When the business took off, I earned more money than I ever imagined. For the first time, I had savings. Then Mum called about James's job troubles. She said he'd been fired, and they were struggling to pay the mortgage. James got on the phone and said, "Sophie, I'm sorry for everything. You're our only hope right now." So, I agreed to help. I sent them money each month to cover their mortgage, even after James found part-time work. It wasn't a burden, and they grew used to the support. I thought I was building a stronger bond with them. I was wrong. After that awful call with Mom, I sat on my couch for what felt like hours, staring at my phone. My mind was a mess. I needed someone to listen, so I called Lily. "Hey sis, what's up?" Lily's cheerful tone contrasted sharply with my emotions. "Mom just called," I said, my voice trembling. "She told me not to come home for Christmas because your grandparents will be there. They threatened to cut James out of their will if they know we're still in touch. Apparently she's been telling them for years that they don't contact me." Lily, who rarely swore, exclaimed, "What the hell is wrong with them?" I continued, "She wants me to play along, pretend I'm not part of the family so your grandparents will leave the money someday." Lily replied firmly, "Well, to hell with that. If you're not welcome, I'm not going either. If they're choosing money over you, they can do Christmas without both of us." Tears filled my eyes. Lily was the one family member who always had my back, even after everything we'd been through. After hanging up with Lily, I felt a bit better. I called some friends with no family Christmas plans. By the end of the evening, Lily, 5 friends, and I planned an impromptu orphan Christmas at my apartment. Lily arrived the day before Christmas with a bag of decorations and a small suitcase. "I raided the dollar store," she exclaimed, tossing tinsel and glittery ornaments onto my coffee table. "Your place needs some Christmas spirit." We drank wine, caught up, and decorated my apartment that evening, avoiding any mention of James, Mom, or the inheritance issue. For a few hours, it felt like nothing had changed. Christmas Day was nothing like the tense, formal holidays we'd experienced as kids. Around noon, my friends arrived with food, drinks, or games. We probably drank too much, ate too much, and laughed too loudly. It was genuine, if unconventional. Even Lily admitted at the end of the evening that it was the best Christmas she'd had in years. But reality has a way of intruding. Before bed, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from Mom in their living room. She was smiling next to James's parents, all wearing matching Christmas sweaters. The caption read, "So blessed to spend this special day with family." The word family twisted in my gut like a knife. I was no longer family, I was an inconvenience to hide. That night I couldn't sleep. Every mortgage payment I'd sent, and that Instagram post replayed in my mind. I thought I was healing old wounds and building bridges with each payment. Now I saw I'd only been buying a false sense of family. The next morning, I used my banking app to cancel the automatic transfer to my parents' mortgage account. I was done being used. 2 weeks later, grateful for the post-holiday rush of new restaurant patrons making New Year's resolutions to try new places, I threw myself into work. The distraction was welcome as Emma and I planned to open a new location. Then Mum called. Part of me wanted to hear her out, but I almost didn't answer. "Sophie, there's a problem with the mortgage payment," she said without a greeting. "Did you forget to send it?" "I didn't forget," I replied evenly. "I cancelled it." Silence hung for a moment. "What do you mean you cancelled it?" she asked. "I mean, I'm not paying your mortgage anymore." In a panic, she said, "But we're counting on that money. The payment's due today." "You should have thought of that before you betrayed me for your in-laws' money." I shot back. "You chose them over me. Now you can ask them to pay your mortgage. This is about Christmas, Sophie." "You're being childish." "We explained why," she began. "You explained that money is more important than I am." "Message received," I interrupted. Then her tone shifted to accusation. "I know what you did. You convinced Lily not to come for Christmas. You turned her against us." "What?" I said, stunned. "I didn't do that. You know what I had to tell James's parents? That she was seriously ill. I had to lie and make up a whole story because of you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You've lost your mind over this inheritance thing." "Normal people don't invent illnesses for their kids, Mom. They don't disown them for money. You have no idea what you're talking about, she snapped. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me lately, Mum? Besides kick me out of Christmas and lie about my existence? I asked. She hung up. The months that followed were quiet. I didn't reach out, and Mum didn't call again. Lily stayed in touch and visited when she could. She became the only family member who hadn't betrayed me, my only true link to my past life. I focused on work, and Emma and I opened a new restaurant across town as part of our brand's expansion. Life was stable, but thoughts of my family left me feeling empty. Then, one evening in late April, Lily called. "Hey, I'm coming to visit tomorrow. Is that okay?" Her voice sounded odd, but I didn't push. Lily was always up front when she was ready. The next afternoon, my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Mom and James stood there alongside Lily. I stepped back, nearly slamming the door, wondering what was happening. Lily raised her hands. "Hear them out, Sophie. Please." Their faces, Lily's pleading, James's discomfort, and Mum's nervousness told me this wouldn't be a quick talk. They filed into my living room like strangers. Mum clutched her handbag tightly, and James stood by the window. Lily cleared her throat. "I think Mum and Dad have something to say." Mum took a deep breath. "Sophie, we came to apologize. What I did at Christmas was wrong." She seemed to think that was enough, but I waited. "That's it?" I asked finally. "We miss you," James added. "The house isn't the same without you." My voice rose. "The house I wasn't welcome in at Christmas? The house where you pretend I don't exist when your parents visit? You'll have to do better than we miss you." Lily touched my arm. "Let him finish, Sophie." Mum gave an awkward smile. "You're right to be angry. We betrayed you. I betrayed you. I put money ahead of my own daughter, and I've been sick about it ever since." "We don't need your financial help anymore," James said. "I found a new job, better than the old one. We're managing the mortgage payments just fine. That's not why we're here." "Then why are you here?" I asked. "Because we're family," Mum said, her voice breaking. "And we almost threw that away for what? For my in-laws' approval? For money we might get someday? It was wrong." Her sincerity made me pause. I'd braced for manipulation, guilt trips, or excuses, not genuine regret. "What about your parents?" I asked James. "Are they still planning to write you out of their will if they find out we talk?" James looked at his hands. "After you stopped sending money, I called them. I told them I wouldn't pretend anymore that you're my daughter too. They lost it, threatened to disown me just like they said they would. We had a huge fight." "So what changed?" I asked. "I did," said Lily. "I called Grandma and Grandpa and told them I knew everything, that I supported you and Dad. I said if they couldn't accept you as part of our family, they'd lose me too." Mom nodded. "They called back 3 days later, said they'd calmed down and were willing to accept things. They're not ready to lose Lily." I was speechless. I wanted my family back, so I wanted to forgive them. But another part remembered how easily they'd cast me aside when it suited them. "I don't know if I can trust you again," I said honestly. "You shut me out when it was convenient. What happens next time they threaten to cut you off?" "There won't be a next time," Mum said. "We've drawn a line. You're our daughter, and that's non-negotiable." I looked at Mum, her eyes brimming with tears, then at James, who seemed more sincere than I'd ever seen him, and finally at Lily, who gave me an encouraging nod. "I'm not saying everything's fine now," I said cautiously. "It's going to take time, but I'm willing to try." Mom sobbed and rushed to hug me. I stayed stiff in her arms, not ready to fully give in. When she let go, James said, "We've been looking into family therapy, all 4 of us, to work through the old stuff, not just this recent mess." I was surprised. As a teenager, James had mocked my mandatory anger management classes. Lily said proudly, "It was Dad's idea. He says we all have baggage to unpack." James added, "I should have defended you years ago, after the accident with Lily's arm. I knew it wasn't your fault, but I let my parents dictate how I treated you. That wasn't right." I thought about the years I'd spent trying to earn his approval, the therapy sessions where counselors tried to fix me when I wasn't broken, and how I'd kept supporting them financially, hoping they'd love me. That evening, we talked for hours, painful but necessary conversations about the Christmas betrayal, old wounds I thought had healed but hadn't, and what it would take to rebuild trust. By the time they left, we had a plan, regular dinners for the 4 of us. No in-laws allowed, weekly family therapy starting the next month, and clear boundaries about what was and wasn't acceptable moving forward. It was a start, but not forgiveness yet. Lily stayed behind, sinking into my couch with the ease of a sister who knew she was welcome. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know," I answered honestly. Part of me wants to believe them, but another part's waiting for the other shoe to drop. She tugged at a loose thread on my throw pillow. "I get that. For what it's worth, I think they mean it this time. You should have seen Mum after Christmas. She was a wreck, kept saying she'd made a terrible mistake." "Did they ask you to set this up?" I asked. Lily shook her head. "It was my idea. I was tired of hearing them say how much they missed you while knowing they'd hurt you so badly." I leaned back, suddenly exhausted. "I'm not sure family therapy will fix everything." "Probably not," Lily said, "but it's a step. And I'll be there too, making sure they don't backslide." I smiled at my sister, my true sister, regardless of blood. "When did you get so wise?" "Learned from the best," she said, putting her hand on my shoulder. "You never gave up on me, even when we were kids, and I was a total brat. Now it's my turn to not give up on this family." After Lily left, I sat alone in my apartment, thinking about forgiveness, second chances, and family, both the one you're born into and the one you choose. I wasn't sure I was ready to fully trust my parents again. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild, but maybe, just maybe, we could use the pieces of what was shattered to build something new. Our first family therapy session was awkward. We sat in a circle with Dr. Harper, a kind but no-nonsense woman in her 50s, and shared our expectations. Mom wiped her eyes and whispered, "I just want my family back. I want to understand why I was so easily disposable," I said. James shifted uncomfortably. "I want to be a better father to both my daughters." Lily, ever the mediator, said, "I want us to be honest with each other. No more secrets or lies." Dr. Harper nodded. "Those are all valid goals. This won't be easy, but acknowledging what you want is a good start." Over the next few weeks, we kept attending, even when sessions turned into arguments or tears. Slowly, carefully, we worked through years of misunderstandings, grudges, and fears. We talked about how James's parents used their inheritance to control the family, why I felt compelled to support them despite everything, and the Christmas betrayal that broke me. Outside therapy, we took small steps to rebuild. Mom called just to chat. James sent me restaurant management articles he thought I'd find interesting. Lily and I grew even closer than before. 2 months into therapy, James's revelation about his childhood was a turning point. "My parents always used money to control me," he said. "As a kid, if I didn't do exactly what they wanted, they'd threaten to cut me off. When I wanted to marry my first wife, they threatened to disinherit me because they didn't approve of her. I stood my ground then, but after she died, I guess I didn't have the fight left in me. So when they started treating Sophie the same way, he looked at me with genuine regret. I fell back into old patterns. "I'm so sorry, Sophie. I failed you." Prompted by Dr. Harper, something shifted in me. For the first time, I saw James not as the stepfather who betrayed me, but as someone who'd been controlled his whole life, just like I had. We both deserved better. By the 3rd month of therapy, we were ready to test our new family dynamic in the real world. Mom invited me for dinner at the house where I grew up. I hadn't been there since before Christmas, and anxiety churned in my stomach as I pulled into the driveway. What if James's parents showed up unannounced? What if this was all an elaborate trick? But when I walked in, the smell of my favorite dish, Mom's lasagna, greeted me. The dining room was filled with photos. Lily and me together, me graduating college, the 4 of us in happier times. "We put these back up," Mom said, following my gaze. "They belong here. You belong here." It felt like progress, even if there were still awkward silences and moments when old tensions crept in. After dinner, James pulled me aside. "I need to show you something," he said, leading me to his office. On his desk was a legal document. "What's this?" I asked. "I've been working with a lawyer to ensure that whatever happens with my parents' inheritance won't affect what I leave to you and Lily. You'll both be treated equally in my will, no matter what." I was stunned. "It's not about the money," he added quickly. "It's about making sure you know you're my daughter, not by blood, but by choice. And nothing, not my parents, not their money, will ever change that again." I cried then, though I don't cry often. That night, on my way home, I called Lily. "You won't believe what just happened," I said, recounting the evening. "I believe it," she said. "Dad's been working on that for weeks. He wanted it to be perfect for you." "When did everything change so much?" I asked. When you stood up for yourself, Lily replied. You showed them they couldn't have it both ways, treat you like garbage, and still expect your support. It made them realize what they were losing. She was right. By cutting them off emotionally and financially, I'd forced them to choose. Surprisingly, they chose me. At our next therapy session, Dr. Harper asked us to reflect on our progress. I've learned I can't control how others treat me, but I can control how I respond, I said. I don't have to keep paying literally or figuratively for people to love me. I've learned I married a strong woman who raised an even stronger daughter, James said, addressing Mum. And standing up to my parents was long overdue. I've learned that family isn't just about blood or obligation, Mom said. It's a choice we make every day. Lily grinned. I've learned my sister is a badass who doesn't take crap from anyone anymore. That got a laugh from all of us. 6 months after the Christmas that nearly destroyed our family, we gathered for dinner at a new restaurant my company had opened. As we sat around the table laughing and sharing stories, I realized we weren't the same family as before. The old family was built on fear, duty, and unspoken grudges. This one wasn't perfect. We still had tough days. James's parents had been relatively quiet since our reconciliation, but they remained a complicated part of our lives. Old hurts sometimes resurfaced, but we were committed to working through it together, and that made all the difference.